Hey y'all, this is Nikki Winston. Welcome to another episode of the WERKin Mommas podcast. This episode today is going to be one of a 5-part series that I'm doing specifically for CPA exam candidates. You might have seen my Instagram story the other day where I did a poll asking if y'all needed a podcast on studying for the CPA exam. And y'all voted unanimously that y'all wanted one. So here we are. I'm going to do this 5-episode series. It's going to be an episode for each section, plus this section, which is a Q&A. And I wanted to do this first because I get asked a lot of questions about the exam. And I also had questions when I was studying about the exam, about the day of my exam, how it's scored, what to focus on versus what not to worry about. So I want to give y'all guidance beyond what you see on some of these other review sites where they're telling you how to schedule an exam, what the blueprints are, all these things that you can Google or find out by going directly to the AICPA's website. I want to get real about saving time, how to use what you're learning and how to build on that. And most importantly, figuring out how you study. Quick little water break. Um, First question that I get asked a lot is, which section should I take first? Now, unless you have specific experience in an area, it really doesn't matter. If you work in public accounting, for example, then you're probably well versed in audit content or possibly reg content. So either of those would make sense for you. When I first started, my first exam was FAR. But that was because my job at the time, I was a senior accountant in securitization. Securitization is a whole nother discussion for another day. But my daily responsibilities were the backbone of the FAR concepts, journal entries, financial statement analysis. We issued debt consistently. So I was able to see firsthand issuing debt, the bond discounts and premiums, expensing deal costs versus capitalizing deal costs, statement of cash flows, equity, stock options, intercompany, all of that stuff. I did this every day. So the material was familiar to me. So it only made sense for me to start there, the area that I was strong in. I've seen these assessments online, like an assessment or a quiz that'll tell you which one you should start with, answer a couple of questions, and then it'll spit out which section you should take first. Me personally, I'm not a big fan of those. They're more marketing and gimmicks and fluff to me because, first of all, the content builds and it overlaps. What I mean by that is once you learn about the income statement, you'll learn about specific accounts on those statements, how to calculate financial ratios, margins, the relationships between the accounts. If one moves one way, how you expect other accounts to move, and how to interpret the numbers. So you will see the income statement mentioned throughout your studying in every section, I believe. FAR, obviously, BEC, audit, and reg 2. So yeah, that's an example of something that's going to be on every single section that you take. Secondly, you will have to pass all 4 sections eventually. So whatever you don't know now, you will have to learn it at some point. So don't spend any extra time looking for some marketing website to tell you what you should be studying. You know what you should be doing, and that's studying to learn the content. Okay. Next question. Not really a question, more so a comment about scoring the exam. All you need to get to pass is a 75. I'm sure y'all have heard that. We all know that's true. But what does that really mean? When I first heard that, I was taking a live class with another review course. And I talked to my instructor because he had said throughout the class, look, guys, all you need to do is get a 75. And I'm like, I want the highest possible score. How do you study to get a 75? I mean, talk to me, y'all. Have y'all figured that out? What does that mean? I sat 13 times and I still didn't figure out what that meant. Aside from being mediocre, what do y'all think that means? Because I don't get it. My instructor's response was, well, just don't worry about the minutia. Okay, so define minutia, because what I think is minutia might not be what the examiners think is minutia. So again, how do you do that? We can't even define what getting a 75 means. So how do you work towards something that hasn't even been defined for you? That's in accounting, that's in your jobs, that's in real life. If you don't know what you're working toward, how effective are you going to be in achieving it? This is not a situation where you have 100 questions, you get 75 of them right, and then you pass. The examiners have some complex reasoning. Wow, that's an onomatopoeia. And scoring this exam. Part of it is scored by a computer. Other parts are scored by people who are actually looking at your exam and reviewing it. We as candidates don't know the rhyme or reason. You might answer questions correctly that don't even count towards your score. You won't know which questions are rated easy, medium, or hard, and you don't know which ones are the test questions because the test questions don't even count towards your score. The highest score you can get on a section is a 99. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't know of any other exam or certification on this planet where you can't even get a 100. If that tells you anything about the twists and the turns that go into calculating a score, just learn the material. Don't worry about trying to calculate the score. Just know what you need to know. Okay, I'm off my soapbox, y'all. On to the next question. What review course should I pick? Every time somebody asks me this question, I give them the same answer. Just do some research. And I say that because the course that you select depends on how you learn. Most of the courses offer the same thing from a content perspective. There are just variations in the format and the delivery. Don't get confused and base your studying on the outlines that are in the review courses. The key is to know what you need to study based on the CPA exam blueprints. And I hope y'all have all at least looked at that. The blueprint is just that. It tells you what you need to know, what topics you need to study. So pick a review course based on how you best learn. A lot of them offer free trials like 7 days or 14 days that give you limited access, but you can test out the software, look at the format, get a feel for it, etc. And I'll just say you will get the best learning from me and from taking my class. If you followed my journey and you know what the number 1,373 means to me, that's why I'm saying that. So, which review course should you pick? The Winston CPA exam review, and it's coming soon. Anyway, next question, or more of a comment. Um, Take advantage of the free access that you have to the authoritative literature. You get 6 months of free access to the AuthLit, which is short for authoritative literature, through the AICPA. Did y'all know this? Like, at me, talk to me, tell me if y'all knew about this, because I didn't find out until I was on my second to last exam. And I've used materials from almost every CPA review course out there. I bought supplemental CPA books online, and not once did I hear any instructor in a live setting, in a video, or in a book talk about this. I stumbled across this in the middle of studying when I was on the AICPA's website one night looking for extra information to help me pass. So if you have my ebook, it's called CPA, and it's called CPA because the goal is, after you read this book and after you get through these exams, I'm going to see your name, CPA. So if you have the book, then you have the link to request your free access. If you don't have the book, then go ahead and get it. The link is in the notes to this episode. You will need to be familiar with the authlet, the structure, how to find information, and how to interpret accounting standards. If you're working in practice and you have a situation that you might not know the exact answer to, you at least have this resource that you can search through, find out what you need. Therefore, you can make an informed decision or help a client make an informed decision. I'll go through a couple more questions. This one. What's on the exam? I used to be in these chat rooms, okay, where people would talk about they just finished their exams. I don't know how I did. I ran out of time on the simulation, all of that. So then all these people will start commenting like, so what's on the exam? Did they test on this and this? And I would just keep reading through the comments to see if the person would actually respond and tell them what was being tested. Because anybody who's ever sat for an exam knows that it's prohibited to disclose what's on the exam. Before you start your first testlet and after you finish the exam, you are required to certify and acknowledge that you won't disclose the content of the exam. And if you do, you can be subject to fines, penalties, and I believe even barred from getting a license. I'm not willing to take that risk. So I love all of y'all, but do not ask me this question. Also, even if somebody told you what was on their exam, it doesn't matter because it's highly unlikely that you will have the same exam as somebody else. Just know what you need to know and go into your exam confident in the work that you've been putting in. So again, what's on the exam? Do not ask. Reference the CPA exam blueprints if you want to know. Learn the material. Y'all seeing the trend here? The overarching answer and theme to these questions is learn the material. Perfect segue into the next question. How to study. How should I study for the exam? How should I approach it? What's the best way to learn all this? Listen, child, you just got to do it. You just got to do it. You have to get into this material, these topics, and make sense of it. But think of it like building an outline. You start with a high level topic like internal controls, for example, because I'm writing the books for the course. I'm writing the study guides, and BEC is the one that I'm writing now. So I'll use internal controls as an example. Define internal controls, why it's important, who cares about it, how it can go right, how it can go wrong. And my thing is mastering over memorization. You have to master these topics, but there are some things you just have to flat out memorize, like definitions or going back to internal control. There are 5 components of internal control. Do y'all know these off the dome? Risk assessment, monitoring, information and communication, control activities, and control environment. But taking that a step further with the outline approach that I mentioned, these 5 components have 17 principles that go along with them. Things like tone at the top, high quality information, risk reduction, ongoing evaluation. If you're studying BEC, hopefully what I'm saying right now is not foreign to you. If it is, I urge you to spend more time in corporate governance and learn all about internal controls, ERM, and SOX. I'm going to have my live CPA review classes where you can enroll and really learn this material. Now, when I say live, I don't mean live on social media. I mean live in a whole nother way. Getting off the computer, getting into a classroom and talking through the concepts. Candidates tell me all the time they buy these review courses and they're still lost because they don't have anybody to talk to or guide them through it. They don't have an instructor or a mentor that they can see or somebody that can help them break down these concepts. So That's what I love to do. I didn't have anybody either, but eventually I figured it out over the course of 13 tries and 3.5 years. So I always told myself when I figured this out, I was going to tell everybody. I have a bunch of tips and strategies in the ebook. It's called Comma CPA. So again, if you don't have it, get it now. The link is in the notes. I wrote some parts of the book while I was actually studying. And as I reflected on everything I had gone through to get my license, is really where this whole concept came from. So there are things to do before, during, and after your exams that you won't hear any other instructor telling you. With my classes, I'm really digging into study tactics, everything leading up to exam day. So whether you're studying for your first section or your fifth section, there's a lot of good information in there that will be useful to you as you go through this journey. So another question, what happens after I pass? At that point, it's really up to you. It depends on what you want to do. Next question. What kind of job can I get after my license? Similar to the previous question. And another simple answer. I don't know an unemployed CPA. And I'll just leave it at that. You can continue working for an employer. You can teach. You can start your own firm. You can go into government, nonprofit. So many other options open up for you once you become a CPA. I started my own firm, the Winston CPA Group. I also had plans to teach accounting at the collegiate level. I love to help candidates pass the exam, as I've said before. And I knew I wanted to teach in some form or fashion. I worked in corporate America for 16 years. I applied to some academic institutions, and I know that sometimes those applications can take a long time. And I'm like, I can create my own damn school. So that's really where this is coming from. My love for accounting and my obligation to help other students, specifically the ones who look like me, become CPAs, because the number of minority CPAs is a single digit number. The number of female CPAs is a single digit number. So imagine how small the number is for minority female CPAs. So that's why I teach students how to prepare for the CPA. With my live classes, I'm going to be there physically to support you and help you work through these difficult concepts that you don't understand. I would love to have all of y'all in my class, regardless of where you are. Come see me in Atlanta. We're going live in a whole nother way. I'm also going to make the course available virtually for those of you who can't make it to Atlanta. Um, Accounting is going to be fun in my class. It's going to be more than a baby boomer talking about taxes in a 60-minute video. We're getting real, mastering material, walking into these exams with confidence. If the long videos and the 99-page chapters that you got to read after work are not working for you, you need to be in my class. If you want real life study tips from somebody who's been there and done that 13 times, y'all. I took audit, BEC, and FAR 3 times, and I took reg 4 times. So if you want tips from somebody who has seen it all, you need to be in my class. We're going to work together until you're done. And we're going to have a pass party when you get done. Then you can write the story of your own future. Once you get that license, there's no limit to what you can do. So my classes, I'm working on the curriculum right now, along with the study guide. I'm starting with BEC, and I'm going to do a curriculum and study guide for each section. It's going to be a series of weekend classes. We'll have check-ins throughout the week to talk about topics you're struggling with and get some practice done. It's going to be interactive. It's more than just me talking to you with a PowerPoint and boring you to tears and making you fall asleep. We're going to be working together. I know where you are right now. I know that feeling of being overwhelmed with the content, just wanting to pass these exams and be done. But you need to be in my class. So stay tuned for the next 4 episodes. It's going to be one for each section. I'll post the links on Instagram and all my social media accounts. If you're on my email list, I'm going to blast the content to y'all first. So again, download the book called Comma CPA, and you can join my email list that way. I will not spam you. I will not send you email every day. I publish things to y'all when I feel like it will help y'all, because I don't like spam either. If you're studying and you have questions in the meantime, email me, hello@nickwinston.com. That's the best way. People have been emailing me, and they'll DM me and say, hey, I emailed you, and the email bounced back because they're emailing hello@nickywinston.com. It's hello, HELLO, at NIKKWINSTON.com. Thank y'all for listening, and I will see y'all in class.